We're going to use this ESU decoder tester to test our decoders before we put them on our locomotives. So let's see what this is all about. I'm Tom Kovichak, and this is Tom's Trains and Things. This channel was created to help other modelers who are in need of guidance in pursuing their dream of building a model railroad. And I get lots of questions on my website and on my comments section underneath the videos about how to do things. And one of the questions was, why don't you do a demonstration on the ESU decoder tester? This is in response to when I did the LT1 Digitrax tester. So this is a little bit more sophisticated. It's a lot easier to hook up. You have the plugs available for DCC. You also have an extension for an additional board for the larger scales. We're going to just use the 8-pin because that's what I have now. I have, Digitrax DH165IP. Now it sits right on a circuit board. The circuit board is right on the pin, and it has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 soldering points on there. Here is a view of the bottom side of the decoder with the 8-pin plug on it, which will plug into your locomotive. And on the other side, you will see the 5 soldering pads on there. Now, from right to left, it's 2, 1, common, 3, and 4. I'm going to solder some wires on these posts that are on here, and we'll hook them up. On the ESU tester, we could hook up at 4 additional auxiliary points on here. You have aux 1 in the center here, and then 2, 3, and 4, and you have the lights on here. Now it will go all the way up to 7, but you have to use different decoder plugs for that. I'll do an additional video with the sound decoder on there. Let's get started with this right after this message. If you would like to see more videos like this, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and go to my channel. Click right below the video where it says Tom's Trains and Things. Click on that, and that'll take you to my channel page, and click on playlists. And that will show you all the playlists that I have. I have them grouped into different categories by topic, so it's easy to find. So if you're looking for something on soldering, you can find it. If you're looking for electrical projects, you could find it. If you're looking for DCC, you'll find it. I have over 40 playlists on there where the videos are grouped into categories so you could find them easily. So take a look at it. Here's the overall view of the ESU tester, and as you can see, all the connectors are on the outside edge of the board. On the right hand side, you'll see a series of LEDs. FL is front headlight, RL is the rear light, and 1 through 7 are the functions available. Track in, the 2 LEDs there, let you know when you have track power on, when you apply power on your controller. Right behind the motor, there is a FWD and a REV. That's forward and reverse. The LEDs blink when you are turning in that direction. In the left-hand top is a speaker, and there is a selector switch for the ohms on there. And I'll get into each individual connector right now. The first one we're looking at is the track power in. It's a 2-pin connector. This one is the most common one. It's the 8-pin connector. The star on the one side is for pin number 1. This is the 6-pin connector, which is used on some older DCC decoders. This 12-pin connector right here is for decoders that do not have any plugs on it, or, as in the case on my demonstration here, is for additional wires off of your decoder. This 21-pin connector is used more often on your sound decoders from Tsunami and ESU. It was originally developed as Markland Trix connector, built by Markland and ESU. Those of you modeling in N-scale will be familiar with the next 18 connector shown here. There is an S variation for sound decoders also. This next connector will accommodate 3 different plugs, an 8, 16, and 22 pin plug. You can see by the name on there and the lines on there, you can see the difference of the 16, PLUX16, and PLUX22. The SUSI, Standard User Serial Interface plugs, can be used for additional functions and add-on sound decoders. Now this last plug is for an ESU expansion board for larger scale decoders. Here you can see how your track power is hooked to the DCC controller, and on this particular plug and the other plug on the ESU unit, normally you would put the wire under the pad, and while you screw, the pad would go down. But on this one, you put it on the top of the pad, and as you screw, the pad is pulled up to tighten your wire into the terminal block. So it's a little bit different than what we're normally used to. Now that I cleared up all those plugs for you, let's get started with the demonstration on the ESU Decoder tester. I have my decoder right here, and as you can see, I have the 4 wires soldered on it. I didn't do the blue common one because we don't need it for testing here. So what I'm going to do first, since the orange, the second pad on here, is for function number 1, and that's auxiliary 1 on here, we're going to attach that one. And I'm going to attach all the wires on here before I put the decoder on. And number 4 tight. Okay, now we have all 4 of our extra functions on here. We're going to bring this over here and put this on the 8-pin plug, and I got it on the plug right there. Alright, now we have all 4 wires on there. We got auxiliary 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now we're going to take the power plug over here. This power plug is going to my Digitrax DB150. This is a typical configuration. You want to use your DCC controller, rail A and rail B, and hook it up to the track power connector on your ESU controller, and also use your throttle to punch in the appropriate commands to operate your decoder. All right, let me turn the power on to my circuit, and as you can hear, all right, all the indicator lights are right here. This is reverse light, and this is a forward light, so it's a headlight and the reverse light, and then 1 through 7 over here is for the functions. These 2 lights are the track, and then these 2 lights are over here. This is forward and reverse, so you'll see these flicker. I'm not sure how good it'll come up, but they flicker whenever they come on. So let me see, I got this over here. Get that in there. So it's on idle right now. So let me switch it up to the run mode, put on power, and then on. And then you can see these 2 track indicators. You have these 2 lit up, so that means you have track power. And then this is the reverse light, so it's in reverse right now, as you can see by this right here. So let me put it in the forward, so you can see the forward light is on now. Now let me give it a little bit of motion. I got it up to step 3. I don't know if you could see the little flywheel right there, but it's turning, and the forward LED is flashing. Now let's bring it down, turn it into reverse, and do the same thing, bring it up to 3. It's flashing right there, and that's turning. Now let me turn the lights out so you could see. Maybe you could see the flashing a little bit better on there. All right, turn this up like that. And I'll reverse direction. And you could see the headlight and the flashing in that direction. Now let me turn the lights back on. All right, now I'm going to do function 1. So function 1 doesn't work. 2 works. 2 is a momentary one, so as long as you hold it down, that's what's going to be. 3 is latched, and 4 is latched. So while I was checking it here, something went wrong. All the lights lit up over there, and now 1 doesn't work, 2 works, 3, and 4. We have a bad decoder here right now. As I pressed F1 on the throttle, all the lights on the tester came on for all the functions. This tells me that there was a short in function 1 on that decoder. What I did was I disconnected everything on it, hooked it back up without hooking up the wire to function 1, and I got everything to work. Function 2, 3, and 4 works, and everything else on the decoder works. I checked out everything on the decoder and looked with my magnifying glass to see if there was any problems with the solder joint on there, and there is no solder across any other terminals on there. So I figured out that it was a problem with the decoder all along. Now, this is the very reason that you do want to use this tester before you put your decoders on your locomotive, because if there is a problem and you put it on your locomotive, it's going to drive you crazy trying to figure out what the problem is. So it's cost, you know, it's under $50, but it's well worth the money and well worth the lack of aggravation that you will have if you do not test it and there is a problem with your decoder. I hooked up this other decoder on here. It's a DN136. It's only got 1 function on there, so I have it hooked up to auxiliary 1. So let me put the power back on. You can see I have track power and I have the forward light. Let me reverse it. So that's a reverse light, and the motor works and the function works. From this we know that you don't have a problem with the ESU tester, because I put another decoder on here, put it on auxiliary 1, and it worked. So the problem is with the other decoder. The auxiliary 1 on here, or function 1 on here, somehow is shorted out, and I don't think that I shorted it out when I soldered the tab on there, because I looked at it real close, and you have to look at it real close, and I don't have any solder anywhere that it's not supposed to be. So there's an issue with that decoder right there. I'm going to do a video on me soldering the leads on the pads on this decoder next week. It took a little bit too long to include in this video, so I just left it out. I'm going to put it in another video for you to see. So check that out coming up next week. As always, I put links in the description below for additional information on this subject here. You could find more information about the DCC connectors and your decoders on there. And also leave some comments down below with some questions, either comments or questions. I make a lot of these videos because of your questions. So if you have any questions, don't be afraid to ask. I'll answer them either in the comments or in a video if it's more complicated than what would be put in the comments. So leave a comment. Whenever I get a sound decoder, I'll be using it on here, and hopefully it'll be either the 21 pin or the 22 pin. I'll see what I could find and see if there's a locomotive that I have. Probably not, but we'll work it out. So we'll see. Okay. And Debbie's there flushing the toilet in the background.